All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Once again, this is Craig, and welcome to our family meeting. And tonight we're going to be talking about family roles and addiction and the importance of family support and recovery. And I have someone who's very knowledgeable in all areas of recovery, and so I'll let him introduce himself.
I'm Carl, I'm a recovery coach here. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice meeting. So yes, and so we're going to be going over some family topics. This article is brought to you by LagunaTreatment.com. If you want to receive this information later on, please feel free to go online and pull it up for yourself. So without further ado, let us get right into it. And so I'm reading the introduction, then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this discussion. All right, so the article says the disease of addiction throws the family ecosystem out of balance. Spouses, children, and other loved ones are often the unintended victims of a person's addiction and can fall into certain family roles of addiction. On the other hand, families can make a huge difference in their loved ones' recovery. That's so important. Families can make a huge difference in their loved ones' recovery.
100%.
All right, it says here you learn why addiction is often called a family disease and how you can support your loved ones in their recovery. All right, so let's get right into it and see what it says. And so I'll read this part, then if you like,
Carl. I'm gonna start reading.
You want to read that part? You want to start off?
Yeah, I'll start off.
Okay, cool.
Family can be defined in many ways. When we talk about family, we don't always mean that traditional nuclear family model for our children. Family can include the extended family, grandparents, cousins, aunts, and uncles, etc. It can also include individuals who are not biological family members, but chosen family, godparents, or close friends that serve as chosen family, sometimes called extensive kin, next kin. Yeah. Essentially, family includes those who have consistent emotional involvement in a person's life. While families are usually connected by blood, they are almost always connected by strong emotional ties. In deciding who should be involved in family therapy, a counselor or therapist would often ask the client who is the most important to them and who they consider family. Those people may then be invited to take part in family therapy sessions.
So as Carl really talked about the central family, those can be the parents, uncles, extended family, etc. Here at Capital Recovery Center, I like to say for those who may be not connected to their biological family, we are what we call an extended family, and that is we are here to assist you and help you along the way. So whatever we can do for you, we're going to do all we can to help you get better. All right, that's it for me. And so let's talk about the next part. What they call addiction impacts the whole family. This article says addiction is a pervasive disease. Its impact extends to all the people who love the individual with the substance use disorder. According to the American Society of Addiction Medicine, ASAM, addiction is even transmitted between family. For example, women married to women with addiction problems are more likely to become addicted themselves. Spouses who separate from addicted partners are more likely to reduce their own substance use. And so as the article tells you, it can have an adverse effect or it can have a positive effect. It all depends how one perceives the event. And so if a person had a love relationship with someone and they took it very hard, if you don't have the coping skills to deal with it, you may want to pick up using. You may want to drink more. You may want to smoke more. You may want to use substances more. But then the article says spouses who separate from addicted partners are more likely to reduce their own substance use. And so sometimes people take that as a way to move forward as opposed to drown themselves in drugs or things of that nature.
I like how you say it's a family disease.
It's a family disease.
You know, because one, we suffer, the whole family suffers, right? So
Absolutely.
like, you know, I done a lot of harm,
Mhm.
and like they not exactly be there, but they're reaping the benefits of what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And so they may not be directly involved,
Right.
but indirectly they're
They're
being
getting hurt.
they're getting hurt. And so we have to be mindful. You know, I know myself when I was out there using drugs, I know I hurt my family. I remember one time I was using drugs and I was also getting involved with criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got locked up, man. And so I'm sitting in the jail. It's almost Christmas time. And so my mom had money for my little sister them Christmas present. Here I am, selfish,
Mm-hmm.
because you know I'm on drugs and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And so I asked my mom. I had a bell, so I said, "Mom, you know, my bell is such and such money.
Yep.
Can you come get me?" She's like, "Don't you know I'm saving this money for bottom, you know, clothes?" And so she sacrificed, you know. So I know it hurted not only my mom's, but also my little sister now, because now she don't took the money that was meant, and you know, to have, so that they can have a really, really good Christmas and bail me out of jail.
And just not like material things, you know, there's sleepless nights. I remember,
Yeah.
you know, my mom
Yeah,
staying up all night crying, didn't know if I was dead, where I was. And sometimes she would be okay with me being locked up.
hey
You know,
man,
she knew I was safe. She
Hey,
knew it was
that's real talk, Carl.
It is,
That's
yeah.
real,
Yeah.
you know, because just like my mom too, man. And when you said that, I said, man, my mom said the same thing.
Dang, yeah.
You know, when you hear your family say, "I'd rather know that you are safe in jail as opposed to you out here not knowing if you dead," you know.
Crazy, man.
That's crazy. So we just sharing our story. We're just keeping it real and let you know that as Carl said, this is not an individual disease, it is a family disease. All right. And so let's move on to the next one.
Effects of addiction on family life. The family of someone struggling with a substance use disorder may suffer greatly alongside the loved one. As the disease of addiction develops in their substances, family life tends to become chaotic. Family members may not know what to accept from a day to day and may begin feeling helpless to change the situation. Families may experience problems including emotional struggles, financial difficulties, legal issues, and violence.
Mm-hmm. They go there financial difficulty. And I'm first one to, well, I'm one to attest that I put a strain on my family financial situation. Emotional, as we talked about earlier, our parents, you know, didn't know whether we was dead or alive, and so they would, like Carl said, they would stay up at night wondering if we all right. And so
You know,
legal issues. Okay.
all right, yeah, I was saying emotional. You don't know how much emotional pain we cause our family members and close ones.
Absolutely. So now that we are in a stage of recovery, you know, it's give us, I know it give me a sign of knowing that it gives my mom a sign of relief, you know, knowing that I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know how deep does that really go, because I don't know if, like, when I do call, do she have, you know, any resonation in her head saying, is he all right?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a good call or bad call? So to all the young people out there, we're telling you from an older experience, and this is a lesson to be learned. If you're ever watching this, if you're watching it now, please, if you can, try not to take your parents, whether it be your mother, grandparents, whoever, through the hurt and pain and shame that we may have caused. All right?
Take them hostage.
Don't take them hostage. Don't take them hostage. All right, so we're gonna talk about. We're gonna go a different aspect where it said parental substance abuse effects on children.
Mm.
Now, this is the aspect we talked about from a child perspective on the parents or the guardian. Now it's the other way around, whereas the guardian is using drugs and how it has an effect on the child.
Kids.
All right. And so it says children of individuals suffering from addiction may also have developmental needs that go unmet or develop unhealthy attachment patterns. They may also find themselves reversing roles with their parents and having to take on an inappropriate amount of responsibility. See how the roles has been flipped?
Mm.
One aspect, it was the child. Now it is the parent who's on substance use, drugs, and now the children have to take on the role as the parent.
Taking care of their siblings, doing stuff around the house, taking care of the household.
Yeah,
I hear it and see it all the time. You know, they got to step up.
step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Mhm. Working odd jobs, quitting school so that they can
Maintain
maintain their household.
Yeah.
So the article says these children, as well as other family members, are also more likely to develop substance use disorder themselves. And so a lot of times, what we see and what we hear, a lot of times, especially children who have an impressionistic minds, it's like sponges, they absorb everything that they see and hear. And so they began to emulate some of the behaviors that they may witness from older people, especially those who are close to them, such as their parent or older sibling.
Adapt to their surroundings. You know, you think it's okay because your parents are doing it.
Absolutely.
And friends, you know.
Absolutely.
Your surroundings is a lot.
They think it's cool,
Yep.
but in all actuality, it's not cool.
Mm.
So the article says, while families often bear the burden of the consequences of their loved ones' substance use disorder, they can also play a huge role in their family members' recovery. In many cases, the addicted person becomes unable to take care of themselves or their responsibility in the way they used to. And one or more family members began acting as a caregiver. The weight of being a caregiver is a heavy one, and it often comes with feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, fear, and anger. So now it takes on not only the physical aspect, but now it's taking on the mental, psychological aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's causing stress, anxiety, depression, fear, and anger. Caregiving is also associated with an increased risk for mental health disorders such as depression. Okay. The good news is that while families often bear the burden of the consequences of their loved one's substance use disorder, they can also play a huge role in their family members' recovery. According to ASAM, ASAM is, we read it earlier. Let me see what ASAM stands for. I want people to be aware. I don't want to just saying I'm just reading. It says the American Society of Addiction Medicine. It stands for ASAMS, all right? American Society of Addictive Medicine. Family involvement in a person recovering from addiction has significant benefits for both the addicted patient and other members of the family. All right? And so be mindful just as well as one has a impact on one's addiction. Also, one can have an impact on one's recovery.
That's sure.
For sure. All right.
Can we read the next one?
Sure.
Common roles in families with addiction. Being a member of a family where addiction is active is not easy. There are several emotions that develop at this time, many of which can be complicated to manage in a healthy manner. While everyone exhibits different reactions to have a family member with a substance use disorder, it is common for members of a family unit to fall into a role that either allows them to feel in control or helps them cope with the chaos surrounding them.
Mm-hmm. So the first one talks about the addicted individual. We're still talking about the common roles of families with addiction. And so one aspect this article talks about the addicted individual. The family member who is struggling with substance use can find themselves living in a continued state of disarray as their primary focus remain on obtaining and using addictive substances. As a result, their behaviors can change to include the following. Number one, continued substance use despite any negative consequences that occur because of it. Two, neglecting responsibility at work, at home, or school because of substance use. Number three, experiencing cravings for the substances. Four, developing tolerance, which occurs when an individual must increase the amount of substance they are using to achieve the desired effect. And number five, experiencing withdrawal symptoms when unable to use. And so the fourth bullet point where it talks about developing tolerance. And so I was just asking, Mike earlier, and because he's a counselor and a recovery coach, and so he know about the DSM, Diagnostic Statistic Manual book. And so I said, do they still use the term, for marijuana as being the gateway drug?
Yeah.
Because I know when I was using, and coming up, that was the term. It was defined as the gateway drugs. What it's really saying is that I have built up a tolerance for marijuana, so now I want to continue. My immune system had got so immune to the marijuana usage, then I want to try some other drugs.
I think for the marijuana, it's like, because everybody, I'm going to say, from my opinion, a lot of kids experiment with it. It's out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Cigarettes, they used to say cigarettes was a gateway drug. If you would try this, and it's like, oh, well, I felt this way, right? So I'm going to try this and see how it feels. Like disease addiction is it's tricky, and if you got it, there is help. So that's a good thing. And, increasing your amount, right? Because we want more. You want to feel more and more and more.
That rush.
And it's like never enough. Like these things we talk about here is just all negativity right here. Continued substance use despite any negative consequences. I was using and didn't care about any consequences.
Me, and to all the young people, when I was using, like Carl said, I didn't really care about much that went on. But now that I'm old and I look back, I said, man, I'm still here.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, I'm still here.
Yeah, me too.
It could have been worse, but I would knock on wood, but there ain't no wood around here. Yeah, that's a good one. Let me knock on wood, knucklehead. All right. You want to read the next one?
Yeah, I got you. Enable caretaker. The enabler or caretaker in the family where addictions are occurring, and often the individual who is attempting to protect the family member within a SUD from the negative effects of their substance use, rather than allowing them to experience the impacts of their use. The enabler personally handles the impacts instead. They may also neglect their own needs in order to care for the family members of the SUD.
Yeah, so that is so important. We got to be mindful of an enabler and caretaker, not to take on the impact of what the person that is actually using. As the article says, we don't want to be a substitute or codependent, so that person will be codependent on us, or as a crutch, oh, you don't want to give me no money, I'll go out here and do this and that, and now you want to go in your pocketbook for your rent or your utility bill, give it to someone who's saying that, if you don't give them money, they're going to go do X, Y, Z. So
manipulation.
Manipulation, absolutely.
For the user and the neighbor, reap the consequences.
Yeah.
So I'm using on their behalf, and they're just draining their bank account.
Yeah.
Arguments in the home.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
Emotional,
verbally,
financial,
all of
violence, Just like we was reading earlier when we was talking about the effects of addiction on family life, emotional struggle, financial difficulty, legal issues, violence. And so this is Carl was saying, arguments in the household, financial difficulties, a whole lot of things. So we know that drug addiction can be cunning and baffling, and is very distorting with distorted thinking on the person that's using. Let's talk about the hero. The role of the hero is most commonly taken on by the oldest child in the family unit. Similar to the enabler, the hero strives to take care of the individual with substance use disorder and has a sense of responsibility for them and their actions. The rest of the family may rely on them, which can cause the hero to feel overwhelmed. And so who want to take up the banner as the hero, be mindful, it can be overwhelming.
It's gotta be a lot.
Yeah, because we call, in our field of recovery, we call it burnout. Whereas a person becomes so overloaded that they fail to begin to take care of their own health, their own personal needs, because we're giving so much to others.
For sure.
And so that can be what this article called the oldest child in the family unit taking on the role as a hero.
Leaving yourself on the back burner.
Neglecting yourself. Yeah. All right.
Scapegoat. When addiction is affecting a family unit, the scapegoat becomes the one who distracts everyone's attention away from the individual with the son by developing negative behaviors. Despite witnessing the effect of addiction, the scapegoat is the family member who is most likely to participate in substance use themselves. This can lead to increased risk for future personal and professional problems to develop.
Scapegoat. Wow. Let's talk about the mascot. This is very interesting. It said the mascot makes attempt to avoid further distress by distracting the family with humor or charm. Unfortunately, this coping mechanism often creates complication in adulthood, as they may struggle with handling problems effectively and developing healthy relationships. And so, as we all know, a mascot is an entertainer, one, whether it be on the sports field or wherever, one who diverts the attention from the actual reality. And so now people begin to pay more attention to the entertainer, the one who telling jokes and trying to be charming, and all the while they are lacking, as the article would say, at complication in adulthood, and they may struggle with handling problems effectively and developing healthy relationships.
Sometimes we can be the mascot, taking the heat off of us and putting it on other things and other people.
Absolutely. So we got to be mindful, because you don't want to neglect the reality aspect of somebody who really need help. And so therefore, in this field, we call it a window of opportunity. And so when someone asks us that they need seeking help and they need help, it's our job and our duty and responsibility is to not to entertain them, but also not to entertain them, but to get them the immediate help that they desire.
Yes, sir.
Because we can lose them through that window of opportunity. 1 minute, pre-contemplation. Next minute,
don't give them that window.
Don't give them the window. When they say pre-contemplating and they begin to contemplate for some change, then you begin to take some action.
Yeah. The lost child. Lost child often does not get their needs met or their achievements recognized by other members of the family. They may isolate themselves from their family and experience loneliness and sadness. The lost child tends to lack relationships with others.
Wow, a lost child. And so a lost child can feel abandoned. They can feel abandonment, where they become introverted or can be shy. and so they never develop the confidence to express themselves vocally or physically because of they have never been nurtured in the right way. So
I always say a lot of things stem from the childhood, you know?
absolutely, because at an early age, child development is so important. So let's talk about the last one before we get out of here. And once again, this article is brought to you by Laguna Treatment.com. LagunaTreatment.com. You can get this article. Well, before we leave, we're going to talk about the importance of family support and recovery. The importance of family support and recovery. Family members and loved ones of those dealing with addiction or another mental health disorder play important roles. Family support in addiction recovery may look like intervening in a crisis situation, finding treatment options, and helping them get into treatment, providing necessary information about their life and substance use that will help the treatment professional provide the right type of care, maintaining health records and providing them to treatment providers as necessary, advocating for their needs and rights, helping them stick with their treatment and aftercare plans, and watching for any significant behavior changes that may signal an impending relapse. Your involvement has so many benefits for your loved one. Studies show that when families take part in the treatment and recovery process, the recovery person is 1, less likely to be hospitalized or experience a relapse. 2, more likely to adhere to treatment. 3, more likely to recover from the disorder. And 4, less likely to be involved in the criminal justice system. Family members themselves can also benefit from taking part in the treatment process. They may receive education on the disease of addiction and learn healthy coping strategies to be positive contributors to their loved ones' recovery efforts. Many treatment programs invite families into the treatment process through scheduled family visits, family classes, and even family therapy. When major issues in the family improve, the recovery person may be more likely to stay in recovery, and other family members may be less likely to struggle with the same problems in the future. All right. And so that's it for us this week. And so we want you all to tune in next week. We also can be seen here on our teams. And if anyone out there would like to give us any feedback or join, please let us know how we can better assist you. For now, I am Craig, and this is
Carl.
Take care. See you next time.
See you guys.
All right. So